Welcome. Take a moment to become still, to arrive, to be present with yourself. This space we open now is not merely a place of listening. It is a field of transmission, a field of remembrance, a field in which knowledge becomes experience, and experience becomes transformation. Today I invite you into the living essence of a teaching that reveals one of the deepest truths of existence. All is energy. And with this conscious understanding and application of energy, creation itself becomes a field of participation. This book is not a theory about energy. It is not philosophy. It is not speculation. It is a practical doorway into direct interaction with the forces that shape life, consciousness, and reality itself. Its deeper purpose is simple yet profound: to transform the seeker into a conscious co-creator of existence, not through belief, not through imagination alone, but through knowledge, perception, and mastery of universal forces. This teaching begins with a revelation that echoed through all authentic mystical traditions. There is only one primordial energy, one reality, one living essence behind all forms. What we call matter is condensed energy. What we call life is animated energy. What we call consciousness is self-aware energy. Creation itself is the movement of this energy between stillness and expression, between unity and manifestation, between the silent source and the dynamic universe. To understand this is to step out of fragmentation and into the perception of unity. From unity arises mastery. The book gently guides the reader into recognizing the different states in which this one energy expresses itself. It reveals the fundamental structure of manifestation through the 5 elemental principles: Akasha, fire, air, water, and earth. These are not symbolic ideas. They are living energetic states. Akasha, the primordial field beyond form, the silent origin, the space of causes. Fire, the force of expansion, will, transformation, and vitality. Air, the field of movement, communication, balance, and life. Water, the magnetic principle of feeling, receptivity, and cohesion. Earth, the structure of manifestation, form, and individuality. Through these principles, existence becomes intelligible. Life becomes readable, experiences become understandable. But understanding alone is not the aim. The initiatory path of this teaching is experiential. You are not asked to believe in energy, you are invited to perceive it, to sense it, to direct it, to work with it. Gradually the seeker learns that energy is not abstract. It can be accumulated, transmitted, transformed, programmed, and applied. And here begins the true initiatory journey. The book unfolds layer by layer the great spectrum of universal forces available to the conscious practitioner. Vital energy, the living power that animates all beings. Light, the intelligence of spirit and illumination of consciousness. The electric and magnetic fluids, the primordial polarity underlying creation. The planetary spheres, vast fields of divine qualities shaping existence. The cosmic language, divine creative forces beyond ordinary manifestation. The endogenous energies of the human microcosm, the internal reflections of universal power. Step by step the seeker realizes something extraordinary. The human being is not separate from these forces. The human being is a microcosm of the universe. Every universal energy exists also within the subtle structure of the body, the soul, and the spirit. To work with energy externally is to awaken energy internally. To refine inner energies is to harmonize with cosmic forces. Thus the path becomes one of integration. Inner and outer become one field of operation. The practitioner learns to charge spaces, to influence atmosphere, to vitalize the body, to support healing, to refine consciousness, to strengthen virtues, to plant courses in the subtle realms that later manifest as life events. Energy becomes language, becomes intention made visible, becomes the bridge between thought and reality. One of the most transformative aspects of the teaching is the understanding that energy follows laws. Unity, polarity, harmony, analogy, and resonance. When these laws are understood and respected, energy flows naturally. Creation responds, results appear without strain. The seeker begins to move not against life, but with its fundamental structure, and this produces a profound inner shift. Power no longer feels forceful, it becomes harmonious, precise, aligned. Another essential dimension of this initiatory path is responsibility. The book repeatedly reminds us, the greater the energy, the greater the maturity required. Mastery is not control for personal dominance. It is conscious participation in the order of creation. Energy work becomes a path of refinement, ethical refinement, emotional refinement, and spiritual refinement. The practitioner is gradually transformed. Sensitivity increases, perception deepens, intuition awakens, inner equilibrium stabilizes. The human being becomes transparent to universal intelligence. And perhaps the most sacred teaching revealed here is this: energy is not only power, energy is consciousness in motion. To work with energy is to enter relationship with the living intelligence of existence itself. This is why the training described in this book is progressive. It begins with simple awareness of vital energy, the life force surrounding and permeating all beings. From there the student learns accumulation, direction, modulation, and application. Later come more refined energies, subtler planes, higher principles, until eventually the path leads toward the highest possibility of spiritual evolution, the conscious transformation of the human being into a fully awakened participant in the divine order of the universe. Not metaphorically, energetically, existentially. What inner experiences may arise on this path? You may begin to feel subtle currents moving through the body. You may perceive spaces differently, sensing atmosphere and vibration. You may experience increased vitality, clarity, and presence. You may notice thoughts manifesting more rapidly into circumstances. You may feel a growing sense of unity with life itself. But perhaps the deepest transformation is this: you no longer feel like a passive observer of existence. You recognize yourself as a conscious creator within it. Why is this teaching so relevant in modern life? Because humanity possesses immense external power, yet often lacks inner mastery. Technology amplifies influence, but not wisdom. Information expands, but understanding remains fragmented. The conscious work with universal forces restores balance. It reconnects knowledge with responsibility. power with harmony, action with awareness. It returns the human being to participation in the living structure of creation. This book is for sincere seekers, for those who feel that life contains hidden laws waiting to be understood, for those who sense that consciousness is creative, for those ready to move from theory into practice, from belief into experience, and from potential into realization. It is especially for those who feel called to mastery, not as dominance over life, but as alignment with its deepest intelligence. Ultimately, this teaching supports awakening in a very precise way. It reveals that awakening is not escape from this world, but conscious participation in its energetic fabric. It cultivates inner mastery by establishing equilibrium between forces. It supports conscious evolution by refining the microcosm until it reflects the macrocosm. The human being becomes a bridge between heaven and earth, between spirit and matter, between the unmanifest and the manifest. This is the deeper purpose of the path. And if you feel resonance with these words, then you are already standing at the threshold. I gently invite you to step further. Read the book not only with your mind, but with your full awareness. Train not only to understand, but to experience. Refine yourself not only to grow, but to serve the harmony of creation. If you feel called to deeper initiation, you may receive structured training through 4 mystics. You may walk the path of conscious development within Ordo Mysticus. The gate is open, the path is living, and the forces of creation are waiting to be known. In love, light and service, I am Ray del Sol.